Today we're going to do an assembly video for model 15216. First of all, on behalf of myself and the other Catskill Craftsman employees, I'd like to thank you for making a purchase and showing your confidence in us and our company. So the assembly is not really that difficult as long as you follow the steps in order. It would be helpful because this is a rather large island if you had someone to assist you. Some of the pieces are heavy and bulky, and when we get to the final steps, they become quite heavy. I will be using a power screwdriver. However, it is not necessary. You can just use a manual screwdriver, but it will speed assembly, so I'm going to be doing that today. So the first step is to attach the tabletop or glide support sticks. It's a piece of wood almost 2 feet long, about 4.5 inches high, 2 large holes in either end. Then there's a series of small pilot holes along the bottom which will fasten the upper drawer glide. Then there's also two pilot holes towards the top to fasten the metal L brackets which will fasten the tabletop. To determine the top and the bottom has holes in the ends of the wood for the wheels, which will attach at a later step. The 2 side panels are identical at this point. The 2 glide support sticks are identical. They have extra holes so that they can be either a left or a right. And during this step, we're going to make this one the left because the glides will extend that way. We're going to make this into a right because the glides will extend out to the outside. So this is fastened with 2 1.25" number 8 screws. Okay. Next, I'm going to fasten the metal L brackets. They're just a metal bracket shaped like an L. It has a slot in one end, hole in a slot in the other. You'll put a 5/8 number 6 screw through the hole. It goes through these pilot holes towards the top edge. So again, start them with your fingers. You want to make sure that they're vertical. They're straight up and down when you tighten them. Next, I'm going to fasten the upper drawer glide. We have a set of glides here. To determine, first I'll show you the one that we're not going to use. If you look at the very end of the glide, it's shaped like an S or a Z. That's going to actually go on the drawer. So it's shaped with like a Z or an S. So I'm going to set that aside. There's a left and a right. So just set those, take the 2 that go to the drawer, put them aside. And then these actually are stamped CL, meaning the cabinet. It's left, and that's what I'm going to use. There's like a rib towards the top, and the wheel goes towards the front of the cabinet. So when we set this up, this will actually be in the front. This gets fastened using a 5/8 number 7 screw. And you'll see it goes almost even with the front edge here is where that'll go, and you'll see 2 holes that line up. Even though there's multiple holes, we only use the 2. If let's say this hole is actually stamped out way oversized, you can always just like hold it in the proper position and then use another hole if you need to, just if necessary. Next, we're going to also fasten glides for the 2 lower drawers. You'll see there's a series of holes about 8 inches up from the bottom and another set of holes further up. This unit takes these very nice full extension drawer glides. There's a wide section which will fasten to the side panel, and then a smaller section that will fasten to the drawer. So they run on in and out very smoothly. To fasten these, you're going to actually extend this part. There's a plastic tab that you're going to want to slide down, and then this will come right out, and you're going to set this aside. We'll fasten that to the drawer later. But you have to remove that so you can access the holes from the opposite side. And this will go just behind the slot in the front. It'll be pretty much in a straight line with the glide that we just fastened. And you're going to see there's, with the pile of holes, there's one hole here that lines up very nicely. There's a slot that lines up with the second hole. Then another slot with this hole, which would be the fourth one. Now sometimes we get these glides from other manufacturers and we have to adjust where the holes are. So you may have extra holes in the side panel, you may have a different numbered hole that lines up with a slot in the metal. So you just have to have it in the right spot. And it just has to be kind of in the same orientation as this. And this type of glide takes 3/8 panhead screws. Now with this glide, sometimes you have to move the center section forward or back in order to see the other two holes. So if you move it forward, then the back hole is very obvious. And then I'll grab another glide. Same procedure. Flip it over, press the tab, give it a little tug. Sometimes you have to snap them out. And I will come around, fasten that in the same position. Okay, at this point I've gone ahead, we've taken a break, and I've gone ahead and I put the other side panel together. Again, it's just important that you note that the wheel on the top glide is in the same position where these will extend, because that will become the front of the cabinet. So this becomes your left, because it'll stand up and go that way. This one is just a mirror image that extends to the other side. So you want to make sure those glides extend the correct way, or the same way as where the wheel is pointed. Alright, at this stage we're ready to assemble the upper drawer. The drawer front is a solid piece of wood, approximately 34 inches long. Has two holes for the two handles, and then there's also holes towards the upper and lower end to fasten the sides. The drawer back, again, is a long piece of wood with a slot for the bottom. There'll be a drawer side. This actually will become the right drawer side, because this hole goes towards the front as it extends. And a mirror image of left drawer side. So the way this fastens together, we use what's called a Bastione fastening system. It consists of a silver colored post with a threaded end, and that's going to thread into the hole towards the outside end. There's actually a hole that goes through it, and this has a taper, because what will happen is there's actually a nut that we will insert into this access hole. This will slide through the nut, and then they have a set screw. So this is what they call a positive fastening system, because once the set screw is turned in, it'll actually tighten the joint together and stay secure forever. And all I do is, with my fingers, I just get it started in the hole. Just give it a half a turn or so. I can get 3/4 of a turn. I'm going to put the other one in as well. I'll set this down so you can see it. And you just get it started in the hole. And then all I do is I'm going to use this little Allen wrench, put it through there and get it started, and just turn it in until the shoulder will touch the wood. Okay, now that's in, but what we have to do is we have to orient where the hole is, because there's this little axis, or this nut, that is going to go through, and this has to be pointed so that the hole is with the grain of the wood. A lot of times we tell you where the slot in the top has to be, that it be perpendicular, but I've seen these come in and where they're not at a right angle, so the slot would be meaningless. So this you just have to, you're going to turn it just a little bit. You can either turn it a little bit more, or just give it a half turn or a full turn out if you need to. So I'm going to just set this drawer back down on the floor. I'll move this over. So here, I'm going to attach, it will become the left drawer side, or it is the left drawer side. So all you do is you put this barrel nut into the access hole so that the hole through the side is going to be, so you put the post through it. So this will go this way, slides right down, the slot lines up. Then we also have included this, as I was mentioned before, this little tapered set screw, and we include a wrench to tighten that. Sometimes they come with Phillips heads, and if that's the case, we wouldn't include a Phillips screwdriver for you. We would assume you'd have one. But then you just hold the drawer side into position and just get the set screw started, turn it in until it's secure. You want to make sure this is perpendicular. Then you just change ends with it and tighten it a little bit more. So the drawer bottom, you just want to inspect it. This is the nicer side, so that's what I'm going to put into the slots. Just get the side started, that side started. Slide in, it goes into the slot in the front. It extends just slightly past the drawer back. And then the drawer bottom, or excuse me, the drawer back will go here. And it gets fastened with 1 1/4" number 8 screws. Alright, next we're going to fasten, let's see, I'm not sure how I can get a shot of this. The drawer glides that we had talked about a little bit earlier, that are shaped like the S or the Z. Set this one down. The way this works, there's holes. The wheel goes to the back. I'll start there. And there's a lip that goes up underneath the drawer side, and it goes forward till the metal touches the drawer front. You're going to have a hole here and here. And those get fastened with 5/8 number 6 screws. And then the same thing will be on the other side. Okay, welcome back. We're going to assemble the middle drawer, and then following that I'm going to just let you take your time and assemble the bottom drawer because it's the same procedure. So again, the middle drawer has 2 bastions on each end, so that's those silver colored posts. You just start them with your fingers. And now we'll thread them in. Same idea, you want the hole in the post to be parallel with the grain of the wood. Okay, so we've fastened the 4 bastions to the drawer front, 2 on each end. We've got them oriented the correct way. And as we did in the upper drawer, you're just going to insert one of the barrel nuts into each of the access holes. Just kind of make sure the hash marks are pointed there, kind of the same right direction, and it'll drop into place. And we take our set screw, put it on the end of our wrench, and thread it in. Find the drawer bottom. It's a little bit larger panel than the one in the upper drawer. Find the best side. I like this better. Put it into the slots. Drop it down in, make sure it's in the slot. And then we take the drawer back. It's a long piece of wood with a slot along the bottom, 2 holes on each end. Just going to line up the opposite end, drop it into place. 2 1 1/4" number 8 screws on each end. I start them by hand. Now, I'm going to fasten the drawer glides. These are the pieces that we had pushed the tab and removed before we did the opposite side, which fastened the side panel. So this has a tab on one end that goes towards the drawer front. And you'll see there's a hole here and a hole here. 3/8 number 8 screws. Then we're going to fasten the handles. These are standard 3 inches on center, so if you don't like the handles, these are pretty much available at any hardware store. It's a standard 3 inches on center, so you could always find something that matches your cabinets, hopefully. And then go with the 1/2 inch machine screws. Now these drawers, we use a 1/4 inch drawer front insert, so sometimes the screws tighten down properly, other times they don't. So we include washers, so if you put the screws in and your handle's a little bit loose, drop a washer behind the head of the screw and then retighten it, and it'll stiffen up the handles. Okay, our next step in assembly will be the assembling the side panels, which we had done earlier, to the back panel. And you'll notice I'll turn this a little bit, the back panel is a little bit shorter, so there's a gap here. And what that's for is so the drop leaf on the back of the tabletop, it'll give room for the drop leaf support to run in and out. So this is pretty simple assembly. You'll take some 1 3/4 inch machine screws and a nut. It was pretty simple. You're going to take the machine screw, it goes through the hole in the outside of the panel into the access hole. Then all you do is you hold the little nut either on your thumb or finger and then thread into it. And so I'll fasten the top of the other side panel quickly here. Then I'll lay the whole unit on its back so I can reach that second hole. Okay, so I've fastened the sides to the back, and just for illustration again, I'm going to stand the unit up just so we can get a good shot of it. So with the braces, they're both the same. In the ends, there are 2 holes. One will be for the bolt to tighten, just as we did in the back panel. The other is for a pin. We supply 3/4 inch, 13/16 diameter metal pins. They just go in the hole. Sometimes they're tight, you just tap them into the hammer. What those will do is those will go into the slot in the leg to prevent this brace from twisting, so it holds it in position. So all you do is you insert a pin in each end, and then the brace just goes into the slot on both sides. And again, we're going to fasten it with two of the 1 3/4 inch machine screws and nuts on each side. I'll secure the brace up here where it goes. These holes, actually we're going to face down, so they'll go this direction. So I'll flip it over so it goes like that. So I'll be right back. Okay, as I mentioned in the last step, I fastened the 2 front braces. I've also gone ahead and I've inverted the unit, so right now it's upside down, just basically so we can get pretty good video footage. Also on this step, we're going to want to fasten the side handles. Against these nice chrome metal side handles, we have these wooden handle spacers, we call them. They're just one on each end. And inside the cabinet, there are 2 holes drilled through. You're going to take the 1 1/4 inch number 8 screw, put it through the hole, reach around to the outside. You hold the spacer has a hole drilled in the end. So I'm going to hold that up in its place and put a screw in it. Put the second one in place. Line up your screw. Okay. Then I'll repeat that for the other side. Also in this step, we can tap in the caster inserts. So these will just slide into the holes drilled into the legs. Then you're going to want to tap them with a hammer. You don't want to pound them too far down, otherwise you'll flatten it out and the wheel won't go in. But just so the teeth enters the wood and it bites. Because when you upright the cabinet, you don't want that to just fall out. So, but it doesn't have to be in too hard. And then we can also insert the wheels at this point. The unit comes with 2 locking wheels, 2 non-locking wheels. I typically put the non-locking wheels in the back of the unit. You just push them in. If they go in hard, like if you flatten that out, you can tap on the metal part. Okay, so I'm going to fasten the second towel bar, and I'm going to just set this unit aside, leaving it upside down, because I'll put the top and drop leaf assembly together. Then I'm just going to set this on top of it to fasten it. Our next step is going to be fastening the drop leaf to the tabletop. You'll notice the drop leaf has a little notch for the hinge. The hinge has a little bump where it pivots. In this unit, that pivot or bump will go towards the cutout. The long side of the hinge goes onto the drop leaf. Also, we have these metal drop leaf supports. There's 4 holes here, 4 holes here. The way this works is when the drop leaf is up, you reach inside, you just slide that out, and it supports the drop leaf on both sides. Then there's also 4 little pilot holes which will fasten the base to the top, and that's going to be our next step. So you just line up your drop leaf and tabletop. You want it to be same on both ends. These pieces get fastened with 5/8 number 8 screws. Okay. Next is going to be to fasten the base to the tabletop. So you'll leave it just like this. I'm going to grab the base and set it on top. The metal L brackets that we had fastened earlier are going to just use the 5/8 number 6 screws and fasten 4 holes. Alright, so I've placed the base into position. You can see the L bracket holes are lining up very nicely with those pilot holes. So you just fasten that, tighten it right down with the 5/8 number 6 screws. Try to center, make the pilot holes the same distance on either side so that the base is centered and square with the tabletop. Okay, so I put the unit back in its upright position. We're ready to install the drawers, which we had put together previously. The way that I do it, I extend these glides out fully. Take the drawer, set it down. You're going to want to start one side, just so it sets in the track. Just like so. I'll come around. You just have to be careful that that won't drop out. So you kind of push it that way a little bit. Best if you have somebody to help you. So here I'm going to squeeze that a little bit. Okay, now this drawer is going to go in hard the first time, and that's because the ball bearings all have to get aligned. So you want to make sure everything is straight. It will actually click into position, like when we separated the drawer parts, we had to push on that black lever. So it will actually click into position. Then we just kind of have to force the drawer in and out a few times to line up all the ball bearings, and it'll run very smoothly. Make sure we're still in over here. Looks good. Nope, I missed that one. Let me reattach. There we go, I felt it click. There, that's nice. And I'll do the second drawer. Alright, now for the top drawer, it's important that we raise the drop leaf. Those metal drop leaf supports, when we first try to put the drawer in, they will catch the drawer while it's first going in. So if you extend it, install the drawer, then you can put them back down and you'll have no problem. So once the drawer's in, they're out of the way. So this has different glides. Put the wheels on the drawer, up over the wheels in the cabinet, raise the drawer slightly, and let it drop into position. And there you go. Our last step, usually you go around, you just kind of make sure all the bolts are tight. Then there's some wooden plugs that cover those holes. A lot of times I take some of the pieces of plastic, which we included, and you tap on the plug with the plastic in between so you don't mar the plugs, just as a little way to keep that from being damaged or marked. And I think we're done. Thank you.